Tony Kornheiser. Take it from me. Jail is cold when you're wearing a teddy.
I hope, for the sake of this show,
Yeah.
you're talking about a teddy bear.
I'm talking theoretically mostly. You know, I don't know as much about teddies as perhaps you do.
There's not much to know, baby. You got to know you like them. That's what you got to know.
Yeah, Teddy Bruschi came to mind immediately. You know, but it's other stuff I'm not so sure of, actually. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Nick Saban wants more time. Kevin Stallings takes a shot at Louisville. And Jay Gruden is lukewarm, really lukewarm on Kirk Cousins.
At best.
But we begin today with the Cleveland Cavaliers taking on the Boston Celtics tonight in front of a national TV audience and you, Wilbon.
Yes,
This
sir.
could have been extraordinarily dramatic because we could have had Isaiah Thomas returning to Boston and facing off against the man he was traded for, Kyrie Irving. But after scoring 17 points in 19 minutes last night in Cleveland, Isaiah Thomas is being held out tonight. Wilbon, with Thomas sitting out, is this still a significant game?
I think, Tony, for Boston, it is. I mean, you and I know, are pretty consistent on this. When you've won championships, and LeBron personally multiple, and then most of those guys around him 2 years ago with Cleveland, it's not that significant for them. They need to get revved up as we get closer to March, not early January. But for the Celtics, Tony, particularly their young guys, you know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, and that team coming together, you pointed out early in the year, they got so many parts. They need to measure themselves against Cleveland, not the other way around. Good chance to do it.
You know, I'm going to go with that. But it's not significant because the game means nothing to Cleveland. It means absolutely nothing because of LeBron James. LeBron James will take the big picture. And LeBron James understands the most important thing about tonight is that it's not in the Eastern Conference Finals in June with a healthy Isaiah Thomas. So Kyrie Irving will go wild tonight. He's a great player. He will go wild. But it will be a hollow victory because LeBron James won't let Cleveland matter in this thing. Right?
Well, Tony, I agree with most of that. Just to this point, I might sort of diverge. We have split the paths here. I think for Boston, they need that. I think Kyrie needs that. And, of course, if you sat him down 2 hours later or tomorrow and you said to him, Kyrie, you don't think LeBron really cared that much, he'd go, no, he probably didn't. But Boston has to get itself together, Tony. After that red-hot start, they settled into sort of a 500 pattern. And so they need to figure out what it is they do.
I'll give you that.
And I know it's still early, Tony. I'll give you that. But I think they got to do it tonight at home against Cleveland.
Let's look at the strategy of this for a second. What Cleveland is doing is brilliant. It allows Isaiah Thomas to open at home, gives him about 20 minutes, lets him feel the love of the crowd, and then deliberately holds him out because Kyrie Irving would run him over. Kyrie Irving would embarrass him because physically right now Isaiah Thomas cannot play with him. He's not ready.
No.
So you take that out of play strategically, and no matter what Boston does, Cleveland can walk out and say it's no big deal to us. It doesn't matter.
And they won't do it publicly, but privately, Tony, you know. I mean, it was well managed. They said going into this, he'll play tonight, but not back-to-back.
Yes.
They don't want to get into the emotion of him returning to Boston in a Connecticut competitive environment. No, don't do it.
No. Hold him out. Yes.
I'm disappointed because I want to see Isaiah play in the Garden, but for another day. March, we'll get to it. Tony, we may as well get to our first day of previewing Monday college football championship game. Nick Saban wishes it was next Wednesday's game instead of Monday and had a mini tirade about the 7 days between the semis and the final being too little. He said, quote, I do think it's a little quicker turnaround for the players. I don't think you need 2 weeks. I just think an extra day. Put a travel day in there, close quote. Tony, is this a college football coach acting in the usual self-interest, or does Nick Saban actually have a point?
I could go point by point on this. Put a travel day in there because it's such tremendously difficult way to get from Alabama to Georgia. It's so hard because are you going to go on a camel? Look. This
274 miles.
This is a remarkably self-indulgent human being and a great football coach. And he's being a little bit of both in this. There's another quote that I think is important. And it says, quote, someone has to think about the players and not just what's convenient for the media and TV. Well, TV pays your salary.
Yep.
All right? You play every week in a football season on a Saturday and the next Saturday and the Saturday after that. You got a whole week here. Don't make it seem like you're the only one who cares about the players and that the big bad villain here is television and the media. Because if you don't have television, you don't have a national championship, and nobody cares about you outside your small circle. Your conference isn't what it is without television, Mike. And you get to a point when Nick Saban, when you just say, okay, stop.
If you don't have TV, Nick Saban can work the second shift at Pep Boys because he'd be making about the same amount.
Right.
So all these dopes, star athletes, many of whom we like, and coaches, many of whom we know and like, all of them who say, TV, okay, ticket prices don't pay your millions. TV pays your millions.
Play the
and
game.
I know Nick Saban's smart enough to know that.
You're getting the week. You're the only one who cares
we
about
shouldn't
players?
have gotten off on this part of the rant because you and I don't believe Nick Saban. Anything that comes out of his mouth, he's lied so often and misled and mischaracterized so often.
Great. He's great.
But Nick Saban's right on this. Just make it 9 days. They've done it before. Last year it was 9 days. There's a leap year involved. Now it's 7. It was 11.
Why?
Just give them an extra day.
You play every week regularly.
I know,
you have
but
to
this
travel
is a bowl
every week
game.
regularly.
This is the championship. Give him he's right.
And it's the same for both teams.
I hate to agree with him.
And by the way, he's going to play against his former assistant. And what does he do to former assistants?
11-0. 11-0.
He beats them down.
11-0.
Kevin Stallings, the Pitt coach, got into a back and forth last night with some Louisville fans as Louisville was beating Pitt in Louisville. At one point, Stallings said derisively, quote, "At least we didn't pay our guys $100,000, unquote. Wilbon, do you have any issue with what Stallings said?
Not a bit. The only thing I didn't like is when Stallings apologized, sort of, and said, I probably shouldn't have said that. I could have used it. No. If they can attack your players in their arena, and they did, fine, they can say something. Didn't seem to be, maybe, well, I don't know exactly what they said. It could have been vulgar. If it was vulgar, too bad. But you know what, Tony? Stallings has not just the right. It's his obligation as a coach to stand up for his players. To hell with the fans in any arena, and particularly Louisville, where they got their scandalous times and scandalous ways. Don't back down from them.
So let's review a couple of things here. One, the FBI has alleged that this payment was funneled to a player. The FBI usually gets it right. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, by the way, if Louisville didn't believe that the FBI got it right, they wouldn't have fired Rick Pitino in the way that they fired Rick Pitino. Now, number three, and I think this is important, that Pitt is 8-7, and maybe if Stallings paid his players $100,000 each, maybe they'd have more victories by this point.
Well, these players wouldn't have more victories. Some other better players would have more victories.
But Louisville's going to get this all year. The Purdue people wore FBI T-shirts.
Good.
When they go to Cameron, and February 21st, the Dukies are going to get all over them. You got to, if you're Louisville,
Dukies are going to crush them.
Yeah,
they're going to weep. Remember back in the day, was it the NC State fans who taunted somebody? It was the Duke fans.
They threw car keys.
They threw car keys. A kid was given a car, allegedly. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Cameron is going to get him.
No, you know what? I loved it when Stallings did it. And then when I read the post game where Stallings said, I probably shouldn't have done that, I started screaming, no, you should attack them. To hell with them.
No, I agree with that. I understand why he backed away from it. They're going to face this all year. They are notorious now.
They've earned it.
This is their life right now. I feel sorry for their new coach. I feel sorry for the current players. But you're going to have to live with this for a while.
The institution earned it. Earned it. Tony, I thought we might be a Gruden-free zone today. Not gluten-free.
No way.
Gruden-free.
No way.
But then your Gruden, Jay, went and started the process of throwing another one of his starting quarterbacks under the bus. Listen to this backhanded compliment about Kirk Cousins and the season he had, quote, "It's hard to say, wow, this guy really was outstanding. Kirk had his flashes where he was really good. He's a very, very good quarterback without a doubt. But as far as getting us over the hump from 7-9 to winning the division with all the injuries we had, he competed and did some good things," close quote. Tony, does this sound like a quarterback Gruden wants to see come back at $34 million next year?
Kirk Cousins is gone. This is the official announcement that Kirk Cousins is gone, that they are not going to franchise him again for a third time for, as you say, $34 million. And what they are doing now is they're trashing him on the way out, which is exactly what they did to Scott McCloughan, the general manager. And it's
what they did to RG3. Yeah, remember when Gruden did that? He trashed him.
Well, this is distasteful in this regard because Kirk Cousins was Jay Gruden's hand-picked quarterback. and he goes for 4,000 yards, and he performs well. And now he's moved over to the dark side with Bruce Allen, who deliberately mispronounced Cousins' first name, and they're ushering him out, and they're saying to the fans,
so you think it's done?
Over.
They won't even sit at a table with him. You think that he has just gone elsewhere?
They will make him no offer whatsoever.
Yeah.
And a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, I'm not going to say he's a great quarterback, but he got 4,000 yards.
He's probably around 9 or 10. Isn't he in that area?
Top
Maybe even a little
12
higher?
is where I would say. If you're Jacksonville, if you're Denver, if you're Buffalo, if you pick up somebody who gains that kind of yards consistently, you are a much, much better team. And this is the Redskins. They're not going anywhere, Mike. You've said this longer than I have. They're stagnant. They're not going anywhere.
They're not. They're just some teams that are irrelevant. You and I live in cities full or part-time, where there are a couple of irrelevant teams because people at the top make bad decisions. They make spiteful decisions. They're petty people. They get the coaches to do their public bidding, which is what we know happens with the Redskins, at least this coach. I mean, Steve Spurrier wouldn't do it for long. Joe Gibbs would never do it. He came and left again. But Gruden does this. He is now, for the second time, and it was easier with RG3 because he wasn't going to be that type of long-term NFL starting quarterback. But Kirk Cousins appears to be that.
Yeah.
He's going to go somewhere and be well coached, and if he's smart, managed properly from the top down, he could be a factor in January and not just end the season at Christmas.
It's amazing
like the Redskins always do.
You have a chance to get a franchise quarterback who you know the coach really likes, and you go year after year after year, and you just keep sort of tying him down. Now you're going to let him go. He's going to go somewhere for a lot of money.
Yeah.
And for half the money that it cost you already, you could have tied this guy up.
They've earned it. Like Louisville's earned what they're getting. The Redskins management earns what it's getting.
Let's take a break. But coming up, which team is more likely to pull off the big upset this weekend, the Bills or the Falcons?
And which quarterback would you rather have on Sunday? Just Sunday now. Cam Newton or Drew Brees?
So Jay Gruden will be in charge of developing the next quarterback, whoever that is. He'll be retained.
How long?
I would think.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be your boy. It's going to be your boy. That's who it's going to be.
Who's my
boy? Your Oklahoma kiddo.
I'm for that. I like
Watch
Baker
him draft him.
Pardon the Interruption is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Place 13.
It is time for toss-up, and here's how it works. We both take sides. I take the winning one. What's first?
Toss-up more likely to pull the upset, the Bills or the Falcons?
Mike, I have no particular feel for either the Buffalo Bills or the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't really know much about them other than the fact that Jacksonville, for much of this season, was a great defensive club. And the Bills don't have any particular offense, and if LaShawn McCoy doesn't play, they don't have any offense. So I think Jacksonville is a safer bet there. So by elimination, I'm going to go with the Falcons, even though the Rams are really good, and even though the Falcons have shown an inability to score. They're 15th total in scoring, middle of the pack. Last year, they had the best offense in the league. But on muscle memory alone, Mike, and the fact that the Rams haven't been in a playoff since like 2004, I give the better shot to the Falcons.
All right, I want you to listen to me now. There's no upset. I don't care what the point spreads are, and the Rams are getting 6.5 at home. Jacksonville, shockingly to me, getting 7.5 at home. And I understand
they're
the
giving.
situation with
Getting,
Buffalo. Yes.
They're giving.
Tony, Atlanta played in a tougher division. I know they won only one fewer game. They played in a tougher division, the NFC South, which, of course, is sending 3 teams to the playoffs. They're the defending NFC champs.
Yes.
I guess the answer would be Atlanta, but it's not an upset. Don't tell me it's an upset. These are even games. Stop it with us. It's not college football.
This is the game.
Stop it.
Next.
Toss-up, who would you rather have at quarterback on Sunday, Cam Newton or Drew Brees?
Well, I'd rather have Drew Brees because Drew Brees is a fabulously accurate passer. Drew Brees is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Drew Brees has won the Super Bowl before, and Drew Brees really knows how to run an offense. So, of course, I'd rather have Drew Brees. But there are things Cam Newton can do that Drew Brees can't do. Cam Newton can take off in the middle of the field and run 60 yards, and Drew Brees can't do that. And Cam Newton can shake off, because he's so big, 2 sack guys and throw the ball 60 yards downfield. So if you say to me, you'll take Drew Brees, I'm happy with Cam Newton. I am. I'm happy.
Tony, I feel exactly the same way. I mean, the other thing is, if we're talking about who you want for this Sunday, there's one thing, and Drew Brees has had the better resume, and it's a Hall of Fame career already. Cam Newton's probably going, but Drew Brees is in.
He's in.
Okay?
He's in, yeah.
Tony, this time around, Cam Newton has spent all year having to hear about what a dud last year was, and it seems to affect him. He seems to rise when personally challenged and hated on, as they say now.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to give a slight edge for this game to Cam Newton, although I agree with you completely about Drew Brees.
Yeah, and Cam Newton will wear a cool hat when it's over no matter what.
That's right.
Next.
Toss-up, which first-time Hall of Fame finalist was the best? Ray Lewis, Randy Moss, or Brian Urlacher?
Mike, I know that you and Urlacher are good friends, and Urlacher is going to get into the Hall of Fame, and deservedly so, but he's not in the class with Moss and Ray Lewis. Those guys are all-time guys. I mean, if I have to pick between those two, I'm going to say Ray Lewis, because I think he was the best linebacker of his era.
He won twice.
And more...
He won twice.
Yeah, more important, that team had no offense whatsoever, and it only depended on the defense. And he was a leader of the defense, and when they produced no points, he made sure the defense was always solid. I think his teams overachieved. I think it's possible Randy Moss's teams underachieved.
Tony, Urlacher's team had no offense. Urlacher's franchise has no offense. I'm personally inclined, of course, as you know, to Brian Urlacher. I am, and he's going to get in. He better get in.
He will.
And he can get in right now, as far as I'm concerned. But Ray Lewis won twice. And, of course, Brian would be the first one to tell you that while a linebacker can't win by himself and can't be the final determinant, he won twice. And Ray Lewis inspired his team. So did Urlacher. And these guys, I mean, Brian's career had to end early, and he was just hamstrung and ramshackled by no offense, just like Ray Lewis. But I'm going to say Ray Lewis out of those three has to go in right away.
And then the two rings are meaningful. It's meaningful.
They are.
What's next?
Last one, toss-up, more likely to win the Big 12, Kansas or the field?
All right, Kansas has won 13 straight Big 12 championships. This is unbelievable.
Ding.
Kansas has done that. Like Kentucky, you think Kentucky's good in the SEC? They haven't done that. You got to go back to John Wooden and UCLA to find a team that has that sort of run. Having said that, Kansas has also already lost 3 games at home. They lost last night to Texas Tech. Texas Tech, TCU, Oklahoma, and West Virginia, all in the Big 12 and all ranked. Kansas will get better. They always do. I shouldn't say this, but this year, I'm inclined to take the field.
Taking Kansas. I think Bill Self is the least appreciated coach, a great coach out there, Tony. They've lost these games. I understand. They lost guys like Frank Mason. You know, they lost 2 guys to the NBA who, of course, could still be in their starting lineup. I want to mention the name, Udoka Azubuike, a 7-foot kid. He looks like he goes about 270, all right? And I know inside players are not talked about in college basketball anymore, but the last time Kansas had one, he's in Philadelphia now. They were pretty darn good then, too. I'm sticking with the Jayhawks and Bill Self.
That's it. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Mike Tyson has a new business venture that he hopes will be highly profitable.
Highly? Really? You want to go there?
Highly.
Did Michael Beasley even know that Manu Ginobili sank this pass for a basket when he brought the ball up court?
Apparently not, since he grabbed it as if it were a rebound. He apparently had no clue at that point.
Michael Beasley not often paying
Imagine taking Brady's intellect and preparation and putting it on a guy with Cam Newton's body, unquote. Oh, that's right. Kaiser himself said that.
Well, we're still fantasizing over it because he couldn't produce that combination. Tony, is he going to be the starter next year? Same coach.
No.
Is he going to start for them?
No, because they got the #1 pick. They'll get a quarterback. Happy anniversary, Frank Reich. On this day 25 years ago, Reich led the Bills on a 35-3 second-half run to shock the Oilers 41-38 in overtime, the biggest comeback in NFL history. Reich also had the biggest comeback in collegiate history. When he was at Maryland, the Terps were down 31-0 at half to the U and ended up winning 42-40. Wilbon, you were there, right?
I was covering the game for the Washington Post. He replaced Stan Gelbaugh through that particular touchdown pass to Greg Hill. Stunning comeback, Tony. One of the highlights of my 35-plus years covering sports.
Happy trails to Manu Ginobili's alley-oop pass. Ginobili was presumably passing to LaMarcus Aldridge, but the pass was so on target that it went into the basket. The game had to be stopped because the Knicks' Michael Beasley did not realize the ball had gone through the net and thought he had rebounded the ball. And then he brought it up court. Bees, there's no rebound on a basket, and you can see Greg Popovich laughing on the sideline.
Well, Pop is laughing because he knew what happened, but the other Knicks joined Beasley. It wasn't like Beasley was on a one-man break. The other guys were filling the front court, too. So what's wrong with your team, Tony?
They're not my team anymore. Stop.
Yeah, they're still your team.
One error. Wilbon, you had the Cavs returning to Boston in March. It's actually February the 11th, a lot closer.
I know. I'll be here for that, too.
Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
The Vegas Golden Knights have won 8 straight games. Your thoughts?
Tony, they're 17-2-1 at home, which is unreal. But 10-7-1 on the road. They got St. Louis and Chicago. Big test coming up, though. They're having a great season. Pop passed George Karl for 5th on the all-time coaching wins list. Is that a big deal?
No, because everybody knows Pop's a great coach. The big deal is that he has the best winning percentage among the top 5, and it's 69.4%. That's great. The Dodgers hired Mark Pryor as their bullpen coach. The Dodgers, is that a good fit?
Tony, you know when I hear Mark Pryor as a Cub fan, I sort of melt down. Mike Tyson plans to start a marijuana farm in the California desert. Is that a good idea?
Well, it's a good idea because it's legal in California. I didn't know that pot could grow in the desert. I guess you grow it hydroponically or you have a lot of irrigation.
What are you, a farmer or a doctor? Which one?
Well, I'm a doctor, but maybe I could have a doctor of pharmacology. Last one, the Lakers have lost 7 straight. Will the Thunder make it 8 in L.A.?
Man, both teams are streaking the wrong way, Tony. Thunder playing better. I think OKC will win this game.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time. And I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can catch the PTI podcast on the ESPN app, Apple Podcast.
Yesterday I gave you I, Tanya. Today I'm going to give you Molly's Game. Aaron Sorkin wrote it and directed it. See that movie. Aaron Sorkin.
Now on SportsCenter at 6, LeBron and Kyrie take center stage tonight in Boston. Which star must shine brightest? The balls arrived in Lithuania. But is Lithuania ready for the big baller brand? And with the Patriots getting ready for the playoffs, Rob Gronkowski joins us. How should we celebrate?
Kind of want to talk about it, but I